Dr. Becky Kennedy begins by identifying a profound cultural shift in parenting approaches over recent decades. Where previous generations often dismissed or ignored children's emotional lives, what she characterizes as a disregard or outright denial of their feelings, today's parents tend to swing to an opposite extreme. Instead of neglect, there is now a pervasive fear of children's emotions, where parents allow those emotions to govern their decisions. This pendulum swing results in children's feelings running the household and parents giving in out of fear or discomfort rather than guidance or structure. She warns that this overcorrection misses a crucial middle ground. Validating children's feelings is essential. They must feel seen and understood. However, validation does not imply conceding to every emotional demand. The key is combining empathy with steadfast boundaries, an approach she calls authority without aggression. By doing so, parents affirm children's experiences while maintaining leadership, ultimately raising children who can tolerate discomfort and build resilience rather than anxiety. Repair is at the heart of Dr. Kennedy's parenting philosophy. She emphasizes that perfection in parenting is a myth, and every parent will have moments when they falter, losing patience, yelling, or reacting in ways they regret. What separates effective parenting from damaging patterns is not flawless behavior, but the capacity to repair ruptures in connection. When a parent loses control, the child often feels unsafe or confused, left to interpret that moment as rejection or blame. Repairing involves acknowledging mistakes, separating identity from behavior, and approaching the child to restore trust and safety. Simple phrases like, "I'm sorry I yelled," or "it wasn't your fault," can literally change how these moments are encoded in a child's memory and body. This practice not only ameliorates immediate tension, but rewrites the emotional narrative underpinning the relationship, fostering better long-term emotional health and trust. The discussion around mom guilt reveals deeper misunderstandings about the nature of guilt itself. Dr. Kennedy redefines guilt as a feeling arising only when actions go against one's core values, serving as a constructive prompt for reflection and change. However, many parents confuse guilt with emotional confusion, a tendency to absorb and carry the feelings of their children as if they were their own. For example, a mother wanting to go out feels guilty not because she acted against her values, she values social connection, but because she has taken on her child's discomfort as her own. Dr. Kennedy offers a powerful metaphor. Imagine a tennis court separated by a glass wall where each person is responsible for their own emotions. The parent's role is to push the child's emotions back to their rightful owner, to foster empathy without being overwhelmed. This separation helps parents act from a grounded, value-aligned place rather than reactive emotional confusion. One of the most challenging aspects of modern parenting is maintaining boundaries without dismissing a child's feelings. Dr. Kennedy explains that boundaries are widely misunderstood as restrictions enforced upon children that require their obedience. Instead, boundaries should be framed as actions taken by the parent that do not depend on the child's cooperation. An example might be a parent physically positioning themselves to prevent a child from pressing elevator buttons rather than simply instructing, "Don't press." This approach preserves parental authority and structure without demanding submission. Importantly, boundaries paired with validation teach children two fundamental questions: am I safe and am I real? When children feel both safe through consistent boundaries and validated in their emotional experiences, they develop lasting resilience and confidence. A defining element of the podcast is Dr. Kennedy's caution against the cultural tendency to optimize for children's happiness at all costs. She argues that the relentless drive to shield children from disappointment or discomfort wires them to become anxious adults, ill-equipped to manage real-world setbacks. Using the metaphor of a child sitting on a bench of painful emotions, like feeling excluded or less capable, she encourages parents to sit with their children on that bench. Instead of rushing to distract or cheer their children up, parents should acknowledge the pain, affirm the child's feelings, and be present. This presence creates a container for tolerance and self-trust. Without this experience, children grow expecting emotional pain to be avoided rather than endured, contributing to heightened anxiety and a diminished capacity for grit in adulthood. Dr. Kennedy challenges the widely held cultural myth of maternal instinct, particularly emphasizing how this expectation has disproportionately burdened mothers. She argues that parenting is a learned skill requiring education, practice, and coaching, much like any complex profession. In many ways, parenting is the last major role where people are expected to just figure it out, by instinct alone, without formal training or guidance. This lack of skill development and modeling explains why many parents react instinctively with frustration or yelling, rather than effective connection or discipline. Dr. Kennedy calls for a shift in narrative that embraces parenting as a craft that can be taught and improved upon, reducing shame and isolation among parents struggling to meet expectations. A central theme is the distinction between feelings and behaviors. Children are born with a full range of emotions, but no innate ability to regulate or understand them. Acting out is often a sign not of misbehavior, but of feelings overpowering skills. Parents, therefore, have a crucial coaching role in helping children develop emotional regulation abilities. This entails patience, repeated practice, and scaffolding of skills like frustration tolerance, impulse control, and emotional expression. This approach enriches the child's emotional vocabulary and coping strategies, promoting healthier behaviors rooted in internal competence rather than external control or shame. The episode also highlights the tension parents face between being available and respecting children's need for independence and space. On one hand, children require presence, validation, and attunement to thrive. On the other, over-involvement fosters dependence, anxiety, and a blurring of individual boundaries. Dr. Kennedy advocates for parents to redefine their sense of presence, valuing quality and attunement over constant availability or entertainment. She encourages fostering independent play, allowing children to self-soothe and letting them navigate challenges within a secure base. This balance supports healthy autonomy while maintaining connection, crucial for the child's long-term development of trust and self-efficacy. A common parental impulse is to quickly fix discomfort or problems to restore peace and happiness. Dr. Kennedy frames this as a counterproductive approach that teaches children to avoid discomfort rather than tolerate or process it. She encourages a radical shift. Rather than rushing to resolve a child's pain, parents should sit with their children in tough feelings, offering attention and validation before problem solving. This patience strengthens emotional tolerance, modeling that discomfort is manageable and temporary. It also encourages deeper connection, trust, and a stronger emotional foundation. The fix and move on mentality, though tempting, can perpetuate anxiety and fragility by teaching children that feelings must be immediately alleviated rather than embraced. Parenting is also about preparing children to take on adult responsibilities step by step, rather than rescuing them prematurely. Dr. Kennedy points out the importance of scaffolding skills, whether writing an email to a coach, taking care of possessions, or managing daily routines. Rather than doing tasks for children, thereby fostering dependence, parents can guide, model, and practice skills alongside their kids until competence is built. This process not only promotes autonomy, but also reinforces problem-solving, self-confidence, and resilience. The goal is to teach children how to handle challenges independently, ensuring they become capable adults who can manage life's complexities. The conversation concludes by challenging the common belief that good parenting is measured by children's immediate behavior or compliance. Dr. Kennedy urges parents to look inward, reflecting on whether their approach aligns with their values and whether they embody sturdy leadership. Children's tantrums, resistance, or silence are not accurate mirrors of parental effectiveness. Rather, they are natural responses to boundaries and growth challenges. Parents who focus on internal clarity about their goals and values, rather than outward approval, are more likely to sustain consistent, loving guidance that ultimately fosters maturity and connection.